prove the statements in 5 through 11, there is a real number x such that x is greater than 1, and 2 to the x is greater than x to the 10th power. Now, when we graph these two functions, you might notice that the exponential function is actually smaller than x to the 10th after x equals 1. Now, you might notice that the blue function is actually above the red function, meaning that x to the 10th is actually larger than 2 to the x when x is greater than 1. However, there is a point at which this red graph crosses the blue graph. It's hard to find it, but it's a little bit easier when you look at the difference between these two functions. Here I have graphed 2 to the x minus x to the 10th. So what we're interested in is when this function is above the x-axis, because then that would mean that 2 to the x is greater than x to the 10th. And you can see that by taking this inequality and adding x to the 10th on both sides. And then we get 2 to the x is greater than x to the 10th. So what we're really interested in is when this function is above the x-axis. And if you notice, the function dips below the x-axis almost immediately, right at x equals 1. But then after a while, the graph crosses the x-axis again. Now, since the function is continuous and the values were negative, that means when this function crosses the x-axis again, we know that the function is going from negative to positive. And we're interested in when this function is positive. So we just need to find one real number x that makes this work. And it looks like x equals 60 would work. And we could pick any number above 60, but to answer this question, we just have to identify one number x that satisfies this equation. And so our solution would be x equals, I'll pick 62 because I like that number. So now from this graph, we can see that 2 to the 62 is greater than 62 to the 10th power. Now, can we prove this fact? Well, the graph should be good. However, we can also prove this algebraically. 2 to the 62 is the same thing as 2 to the 6th to the 10th power times 2 squared, which is equal to 64 to the 10th power times 2 squared, which is very clearly greater than 62 to the 10th power. So my answer to this question is x equals 62. You could have picked 60, you could have picked 70, you could have picked 1,000. So long as the number is at least 60, maybe 59, you should be good. Thanks everyone, and I'll see you in the next video.